Yo, YouTube knife people. This is Patrick, aka Earth Particle. I am here with another review, this time on the Sharp by Design Mini Tempest. This is new as of right now. I'm doing this video on Valentine's Day of 2022, and this just came out in the past week or so. I didn't pre order, but I was lucky enough to find someone on Reddit who was willing to sell theirs to me. And I'm very fortunate to be able to get my hands on one because this is a really, really cool knife. Everybody's been gushing over this on the internet and for really good reason. So let's just go ahead and start off right off the bat here and do some size comparisons. My camera is at a little bit of an angle, so we'll just do the best we can. Here's the Paramilitary 2. Let's see. The knife is, I think it's about 7. Actually, let's measure right now. Knife is somewhere around 7-ish inches, I think. Let's see. It is, I'm sorry, it's almost 8. It's about 7 3/4, just about. So the PM2 is like 8.3 inches, I think, something like that. So that gives you an idea of the size there. Let's bring in the Pair 3. Kick that guy up on here, if I can get it. There we go. Because of that camera angle, I'm going to flip-flop them. There you go. Pair 3, PM2. Let's bring out another fan favorite, the Civivi Elementum. Let's bring out the Benchmade 940. Let's flip those out so you can get an idea again because of the angle that I'm at. There's those two guys. Then we have, we'll bring out the bug out. It's actually a pretty good size comparison compared to the bug out. That's actually not bad. The blade's a little longer on the Mini Tempest, but it's not very un-bug out like, really. It's not bad. If you like the size of the bug out, you'll probably like the size of the Mini Tempest. Let's bring out the Civivi Cogent. Again, not a bad size comparison. Let's go ahead and flip these guys. Get the old flipperoo there. So there you go. And let's see what else we got. Two more. Let's do another popular knife, the ProTech Malibu. Again, I'm going to flip it over here so you can kind of get an idea. Again, not a bad size comparison. It's not a huge knife, but you know, I have pretty decent sized hands. I'm 6'4", and this thing fits my hands great. And then last but not least, certainly, we're going to do the Evo Typhoon, another Sharp by Design, another Riot made knife. And let's flip that over to this side again here. Definitely smaller than the Evo Typhoon. This is the full size Evo Typhoon. Definitely smaller, but not crazy smaller. You know, for the smaller handle length, you know, the blade length difference isn't crazy. Sharpened blade length is only a little bit shorter than the Evo Typhoon, so nothing crazy small there. It's called the Mini Tempest, but you know, it's not nothing really mini about it. So my hands are large, extra large, glove size hands. I'm 6'4", I'm a pretty big guy. And check it out. Check out the grip. I got a full 4-finger grip, no problem. No problem at all. There's some nice jimping up here. This thing it just feels so good in hand. You know how you'll, every now and then you'll get a knife that you put it in your hand and you hold it and it just feels, you know, like people say, an extension of your hand. To me, for something to feel like an extension of my hand, quote unquote, it just has to sit in my hand. Like if I put it in my hand and I just drop my hand down to my side and then start watching cartoons or something, if I kind of can forget that I'm holding it while I'm doing something else, then that's near perfect ergos for me, and this knife accomplishes that. You have your kind of standard Sharp by Design clip that you see a lot on a lot of Sharp by Designs. A lot of people say it's the perfect clip. I tend to agree. The pocket clip it just hides away. You know, in my case, it sits right up here. Don't even feel the thing. It's so good. You know, Riot does such a great job at making these. Again, another thing everybody points out, but the transition between this carbon fiber and the titanium, you can't feel anything. Everything is really, really nice and curved. It's basically perfect. The way the handle's done, the way everything feels. The only kind of pointy spots are right where you want it. That's on the jimping. This is the drop point version in all black, PVD coated. So lock up on this particular one. It's kind of hard to see because it's all black. Lock up on this one, I gotta look at it off camera, is probably 20%-ish. It feels very secure. I don't have any blade play, up, down, left, right, nothing like that. Just straight out of the box, it came that way. Now, it did have one previous owner, but he said that he didn't cut with it, didn't adjust the pivot, nothing. And I know I can attest to that because I took it apart to put skiffs in here, and I actually had to use a heat gun a little bit to get the Loctite loosened up. It was pretty heavily Loctited, at least mine was, but it worked out fine. If you have this knife and you're curious as to what size skiff bearings it takes the 3/16, 1/16, 3/16, 1/16, and 11 ball set. That's the set that fits a lot of different knives. There's a lot of different stuff out there that takes those. The Malibu being one, for example. This has the exact same bearings in this as this one does right now. And those bearings are just the bomb. They're great. So yeah, so 3/16, 1/16, 11 ball for this. So overall, it's just so comfortable. Everything about it is comfortable. As much as I love the Evo Typhoon, you got the flipper tab kind of sticking down, you know, pretty proud out here. And that's not a problem for me. I don't dislike that. But it is nice to have a Sharp by Design where you don't have anything obstructing here. So if you wanted to try to choke up a little bit, I mean, you can. It's not very generous spot, but it doesn't really need to be. But you can come up on it a little bit if you want. It's fine. This is not a factory edge. This is an edge that I put on. So yours, if you get it new, isn't going to look like this. But it did come with a really good sharp edge. I think it was probably about 20 degrees per side. Really good sharp edge. Not a phone book paper destroyer, but I don't think it was intended to be that. I think it was intended to be a good, just daily cutter. I think most people probably aren't running around slicing phone book paper all day long. Maybe not like me, but they probably use it for normal things, like a regular sane person. But anyway, everything about this is just so cool. I keep seeing videos, you know, Metal Complex, Wayne's Sharp World, a couple that come off the top of my head, raving about it. Metal Complex just had this on his top 50 knives, folding knives of all time. This was number 15, I think it was, on his list. The front flipping action is so solid. If you can hear this, listen here, so I can get close to the camera. Listen to this. Might sound kind of dull on camera, but in person, it's a really commanding and satisfying kind of cluck or chuck, maybe a clack if you prefer. But yeah, it has a really good, solid. It's got that kind of nice little vibration feel when it hits the titanium. Now this has been flipped in my possession. It's been flipped. I've had it for like 3 days, so I'm gonna say 300 times maybe. That's just a guess. It might be more, but and with the skiffs, most of that's been with the skiffs. But here's the closing action, and I've got the pivot tightened down about as far as it can go without crunching everything together. And the action is still that smooth. So there's no blade play at all. I mean, this is solid. Sharp by Design knives, the several that I've tried, are among the best for solid lockup that I've ever owned across all knife brands. They are absolutely among the best. So if blade play is an issue for you, think about looking at Sharp by Design knives. I would definitely suggest that if you don't like blade play, because these are just great. They just fall shut so well. Blade centering. Every single one of these that I've seen, the blade centering has been perfect. All the reviews and everything. The blade centering has been spot on every example that I have seen. Fantastic. This is interesting. You get a couple like little knurled spots right here. Not on this side, but on the clip side. I guess that's to help with grip a little bit. Let's see, where does that fall when I hold it? Where does that grip fall? It falls right over my ring finger. It's just all these little details have been thought out. Just like with all the SBD knives, it just seems like all these little details have been thought out on this. It's just one of those knives. Huge nightmare producing this, with Brian. If you listen to the Knife Nuts podcast, he and the guys are all talking about the issues with carbon plate and all the money that Brian had tied up. And, I don't even know if it's guaranteed he's going to get it back. Brian has been an absolute champ throughout this whole ordeal. You want to talk about a stand-up guy. Like, he did everything he could. He's working so hard to fill all these individual orders and get everybody's checks and stuff in. If you look at his posts on Instagram and stuff, like, it's incredible, man. Like, he really has done everything he can. It's very clear to make everything right as much as he can. And it's awesome to see somebody really standing up, not only for their product, but for their customers. And you can tell Brian and all those guys really, really care about not only building a quality piece or quality tool, but, being as fair as possible, getting it out in everybody's hands and going on to the next thing. Like, it's really, really cool to see it. Like, it's one of those restore faith in humanity moments, which is really awesome. So the price on this is, if you get it at the retailers, it dropped at retailers a few days ago. The price was $375 for most of the versions, but then there were some of the versions, for example, like the dark matter, like the gold swirly fat carbon, were like $425, I want to say. So I think it was $375 and $425. I paid the lower amount for this from the guy I got it from. He was really, really cool to give it to me for cost, basically for his cost. So that was pretty nice. But so I know that Brian said that they were going to be at retailers next week, meaning this week, the week of like February 14th. But they actually ended up getting released a few days ago. So they ended up being released the same week he made the announcement. So he makes the announcement and says it's going to be next week. But the retailers, I can't blame them for getting excited. They ended up releasing them just a couple days after he made that announcement. So they ended up popping up a little earlier than I think people were expecting. But it didn't seem to stop anybody, because everybody jumped right on them. They sold out within 5-10 minutes, something like that. So if I wasn't able to find someone from a individual person, I was definitely going to buy it retails. So one way or the other, I was going to get one. I don't know if there's going to be any more further drops. I know they were available at either were or will be available at Crane's Cutlery. I know that they've already dropped at Arizona Custom Knives, DLT Trading, and there might be one more. I can't remember. I know there's, I think Knife Center had them, and I don't know if Blade HQ got theirs yet or not, or if they released theirs yet, but those are the sites to kind of look out for. So Blade HQ, Knife Center, DLT Trading, Crane's Cutlery, Arizona Custom Knives, those are the ones to look out for. I don't know if there will be a second drop after the initial drop. If not, then, you can jump on Facebook or Reddit and see if you can find one from somebody on the secondary market. Now is a really good time to do that, because all the people who got the pre-orders and all the people who are getting them retail, you're going to have that kind of run of folks who get the knife in hand and it ends up being a catch and release for them. You're going to have people who get it in hand and they think, oh, the front flippers aren't for me, or this front flipper isn't for me. In my opinion, those people are all insane. But you are going to have people who decide that they don't want to hold on to this. So I predict that there's going to be a lot of mini Tempests changing hands in the early days of release. There's going to be a lot of movement back and forth, people wanting to sell and trade. So I think now is a really good time. If you missed the retail drop, I think now really is a good time. I mean, it's Valentine's Day 2022. You know, if you're looking for one in the next couple weeks on the secondary market, I think, you know, everything's going to be pretty fluid during this time. If you are a knife fan, especially if you're a Sharp by Design or front flipper fan, I would go so far as to say this is a must own if it's in your budget. You at least got to get one and try it, because even if you try it and you decide that it's not for you and you don't like it, you're going to be able to flip it and get most of your money back, you know, after the shipping and all that stuff. You might lose a little bit, but consider it a rental, you know. You get to rent it, check it out for a few, and pass it on to the next person. I do feel like it's really worth experiencing at the very least. It's a what do you call it, like a touchstone or a very notable knife in the history of knives, I guess. I don't know if I'd go that far, but maybe it is, you know. It's just so good. It's super fun to open and close. It's got it all. Super fun to open and close. Amazing ergos. It looks amazing. Everything about it is just absolutely killer. I don't consider myself a huge front flipper fan overall. Actually, I've owned several front flippers, but I don't think I even have a front flipper right now other than this. I've tried to keep my collection on the lower end in numbers wise. You know, I only own about 50 knives, and only 50 knives. A lot of people out there own, you know, several hundred knives. Lately here, I've been focusing more on quality over quantity. You know, I still love budget stuff and things like that, but you know, with my money situation and everything now, I have to kind of be as careful as possible. So I've been focusing more on quality lately here, which is why, you know, I've got this guy. I've sold a few things so I could afford that guy and my second Evo Typhoon. I've got another Evo Typhoon that some Loctite is carrying on, so I didn't bring that one out, but I do have this other Evo Typhoon I got within just a couple days of this guy. So I count myself pretty lucky that I was able to find some people who were willing to part with this stuff, because these are just so awesome. Great pieces. So anyway, I'm going to try to keep this under 20 minutes. A rare feat for me. I think that's pretty much it. So what's your opinion on this knife? Have you owned it? Are you thinking about owning it? Are you playing with one right now while you're watching the video? That wouldn't surprise me either. What do you think about it? What do you think of the next knife on the list from Sharp by Design, the Apex? The Apex will have a flipper and a front flipper version. I didn't get in on the pre-order because my Sharp by Design interest kind of really started to swell more in the last month or so. I've owned my first Evo Typhoon. Well, not my first, but I've owned my most recent Evo Typhoon. Got that like 4 months ago. And my eyes have only just kind of really started to open to Sharp by Design and how good they really are in the last month or two, probably. So what do you guys think? You know, is this for you? Are you going to wait for the Apex? Are you more into the other stuff? Are you into the Void? Are you into the Evo Typhoon? Do you like the smaller versions better? Let me know. And I really thank you for watching. Again, I'm going to mention one more time, thank you for 100 subscribers. I never would have expected to get there. I don't even have that many videos up, and I don't upload that often, especially with moving recently. Just moving to the new house. So I really want to say thanks to the people who are watching. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video, which will hopefully be sooner rather than later this time. All right, everybody, have an amazing day, and thanks again.